Hey friends, welcome to Universal Orlando Resort for our Halloween Horror Nights video. We are back here at Universal Studios Florida for the premiere Halloween horror scare event. Universal know what they're doing, they know how to put it on, and we're very excited to get there and get into the fog. Now, what is Halloween Horror Nights? As I said, it is a premiere scare event consisting of a bunch of haunted houses, scare zones, food and drink and shows, things like that. Now, Universal put this on every single year. They have been doing it for 33 years. This is the 33rd year of the event, and it is still going strong. So this year it consists of 10 houses. You've got 4 IP houses, intellectual properties, and then you've got 6 original houses that Universal have come up with. So going over the original houses first, we've got Monstrous, the monsters of Latin America, and I do have it brought up on my phone because the noggin ain't quite what it used to be. You've got Slaughter Sinema 2, you've got Museum Deadly Exhibits, you've got Major Sweets Candy Factory, and then you've got Goblin's Feast. There are little descriptions for each of these on the website as well. You've also got those 4 IP houses, like I said. You've got A Quiet Place, and this is based on the first and the second Quiet Place films. There's going to be some interesting ones with that, because if you've watched The Quiet Place, you know it is a very quiet film, as it says in the title. The sound is going to be interesting throughout. Are we going to hear little intricate details throughout? That'll be very interesting. You've also got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, it's based off of the new film, but there are going to be Easter eggs from the Ghostbusters franchise throughout that house. So I'm looking forward to those. We have seen the new films, my wife and I. They're not as good as the original 2, right? We know what it's like. The next one you've got is Insidious. Now, this is based off the entirety of the Insidious franchise, but it's taken elements from each of the Insidious films. So it's Insidious the Further, so you're going into the Further beyond the red door, and you're going to see everything that is in the Further. They're going to come and get you, take you back, and, well, skin you alive, basically. And then the final IP house is Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. Now, that is Universal delving deep into their horror franchise roots, their Universal Monsters roots. Remember, they were the ones that created, at least in film, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of these kinds of Universal monsters that we have known to come and love, including The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. Peak film, peak film. So we got all 10 houses. We are here with a Rush of Fear pass, which gives us access to 18 nights of the event. Sadly, I'm not here for 18 nights of the event, but we've got 3 nights that we're going to spread this video across. So I will be changing t-shirt throughout. I'm not just going to stink up this one t-shirt for that. But the reason for that is I want to give you guys as much info and as much of a feel of the event as possible to know whether you would like to experience it. Now, I'm a solid advocate for Halloween Horror Nights. I love it. I love coming. This is my 3rd year in a row here, and we've done Hollywood a couple of times as well. It's actually what this t-shirt's from. This is a Hollywood t-shirt. You've also got 5 scare zones. Now, they are dotted throughout the park, so you will walk through those to get to each of the haunted houses. You've got Enter the Blumhouse, which is based on the Blumhouse franchise. You've got Duality of Fear. You've got a thing where you follow Sinister and Surreal. These are the 2 icon characters for this year, and they'll be dotted throughout the park, and everything kind of rests on them and links back to them. You've got Demon Queens, Swamp of the Undead, and Torture Faire. You do also have 1 live show, as I said, that is Nightmare Fuel Nocturnal Circus. And then we've got a bunch of rides that are open. We've got Death Eaters in the Wizarding World, and then lots of food and drink. Now, I'm hoping to have a separate video out for all of the food and drink that I can consume. I'm here on my own. I can't do all of it, but I'll try and get through as much of the food and drink as possible, separate to this video explaining the event and showing you the scare zones. So, are you ready to be scared? Are you ready to go in and experience Universal Halloween Horror Nights with us? We're going to go in We're going to do Stay and Scream. Now that is where you can stay inside the park as it switches from the day to the night, and it means that we'll get into a couple of the mazes a little bit quicker than the guests that stay out here. Unfortunately, what that does mean is we will miss the opening ceremonies. The opening ceremonies are an event that happens, and I'll show you that when we go in, just on the platform there. I want to see them, but I want to experience the houses that little bit more. So if you guys do enjoy the video throughout, give us a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. It really does help us out a lot, and it would be great if you could hit the subscribe button and bell icon to be notified when we post all new videos. Are you ready to step into the fog? This is the entrance around 6 p.m. for Halloween Horror Nights. I think I've just missed the show on the turrets there. You can see them up there. Surreal and sinister. So I'm just doing this part to kind of give you a preview of what it looks like from this perspective, getting in, rather than doing Stay and Scream. Because I've done a couple runs in each house now, this is my third day, so I appreciate the videos a little bit all over the shop in terms of what's recorded and when, but it's interesting seeing this. So I've never done this before. You can see the guys on top of the platform up there.
You're good, all set, thank you.
So many they flock to us, it's difficult to keep down. I did warn you they have a fascination with horror. Something I'm loving to see, to believe. And smell it too. Each and every one has a beautiful fingerprint of divine fear. Come close, within our clutches. Your love for terror has led you here. Yes. Give your mind up to us.
So at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, you have a couple of Stay and Scream zones. One of those is New York, another is World Expo. Now New York, they're changing how they do things, and you enter it just here at the end of Minion Land. Once you go into the Stay and Scream zone, you stay in there until it changes over to the nighttime horror festivities, and then you get let into one of the mazes earlier. It also means you're probably going to get into the second maze a little bit earlier as well. But there's quite the queue to get into the Stay and Scream zone. So you've got a whole bunch of food booths here at Halloween Horror Nights. These are the two Ghostbusters ones, and they're located in the New York region. We're in Stay and Scream right now, and you got the choice to go to either A Quiet Place, Ghostbusters, or Insidious.
To my left, so my right, your left, and Insidious will be straight ahead, and happy birthday.
So the first house of the night during Stay and Scream is going to be Insidious. So I'm going to rank the houses and let you guys know what my thoughts are at the end of all 10 houses. So next up we've got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This is the second house of the night. Stay and Scream in Insidious was pretty good, but the house had technical difficulties just before, so it took a little bit longer than I expected, but really looking forward to Ghostbusters. I'll give you a wrap up of them both once I come out of this one. So Ghostbusters actually enters through the queue of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, or Race Through New York with Jimmy Fallon. That's the name of the show, not the ride. Lee, there he is, Jimmy Fallon. All right, I've come over to Minion Cafe to just sit and compose for a second. Insidious, I think it was missing a bunch of scare actors. because it was the first one and there was a delay on it. I don't know what the delay was, a technical delay they said. But still, that scared the crap out of me. And I don't say that word on here, the family-friendly channel after all, but it really did scare me senseless. It was such a good house. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 because I think there was a few spots where it was missing somebody. But scenic elements were fantastic. It essentially had two facades. You had the red door, and then you go into the house of the family. I can't remember what the name of the family is from the first couple of films. But yeah, so good. Definitely need to get back in that. I'm going to do a few run-throughs of each house, hopefully, over the next few days. And as I said, this video is an amalgamation, so the wrap-up at the end will be after everything. This is just initial thoughts. Ghostbusters, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed Frozen Empire. I know it was a little bit panned, but it was a good film, I think. They can't just keep bringing the old people back though, so they do need to move on. But there were so many Stay Puft Marshmallow Men in there, the little guys. They were everywhere, little animatronics. There were some really good scares. Scenically, the rooms were absolutely incredible because that was the cold house, I think, this year. There were like 3 or 4 rooms where it was cold in there because Frozen Empire. And then also you had like a full facade of the firehouse there, completely frozen over. You had a car in there. It was just so good. I want to get through that again to just like pay attention to the elements through there. But Ghostbusters is top now for me at the moment. I've only done 2 because of like missing actors in Insidious. The next one I'm going to go and do is A Quiet Place, I think. So I've actually decided to make the next house Monstrous, the Monsters of Latin America, because it was only posted at a 20-minute wait. So that means I'll be able to get like an extra house done very quickly today, which is going to be very nice. I need to get through them. If I can get through all 10 tonight, then I can get through all 10 tomorrow night and all 10 the night after. No, tomorrow's a Friday night. That ain't happening on a Friday or a Saturday. Maybe Sunday. So my first impression of Monstrous was pretty bad. I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Basically, it was a shift change just as I was about to go in the house. So there were so many boo holes that were missing actors that it's a 4 out of 10 because there's no like nostalgia tied to it for me. At least I say nostalgia. Insidious, I'm tied to the story of Insidious because I've watched the films and I can recognise parts from it, even though it was missing. But there was only missing a few. That was missing so many scare actors. It was really sad. Disappointed, but I'm going to get in it again at some point over the next couple of days, and let's see if it can move further up the list. Okay, now I'm going to do The Quiet Place. It's posted at a 50-minute wait. I really wish I hadn't done Monstrous at that time because of the disastrous shift change that I had, but it is what it is. Alright, first impressions of A Quiet Place. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I love those films anyway. Interestingly, funny fact here, Becky and I, we sat and watched A Quiet Place back in 2019 when the first one came out. And we watched it for 30 minutes with no sound on because we thought, oh, it's a quiet film, what's going on? We just didn't turn the sound on, we hadn't even realised. Very good, scenes were fantastic. The fact that they incorporated American Sign Language into it as well was really cool. Loved that. Some really awesome puppets in there as well. Overall, just a fantastic house and one I'd highly recommend. Next up, I'm going to do Major Sweets Candy Factory, and this is at the Fast and Furious Supercharged house. Fast and Furious Supercharged ride. So they've closed the ride down, they've put a house out the back, and this is based on a scare zone from before. So in here at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley, we do have some interesting characters lurking around. Some characters that might bring death upon you. Let's see if we can see any. So, Major Sweets Candy Factory, first impressions, I would give that an 8 out of 10. Absolutely adored the sets in there. You're walking through a factory. It's loud, it's noisy, factory stuff going on. Sweets everywhere, but body parts made into sweets, which is really cool. Some really awesome characters in there, some great scares. There's also 2 guest activated triggers. What that means is that there's these red buttons that you hit and they do something basically. So I did that, hit them both and got sprayed with water. Great. Girl behind me also got sprayed and she wasn't happy with me after that. But that's okay. That's absolutely fine. Really just a fun house, and they've really done a good job of utilising the space at the back of Fast and Furious Supercharged. It's a rubbish ride, so why not just close it down for horror season? I keep wiping because it's starting to rain. There's supposed to be a storm coming in. I think I'm going to be rained out tonight, but it also means that I think everybody else might be rained out, so maybe I should stay then. Also then did the Death Eaters in Diagon Alley, and that was really cool. I'm so happy that they're here because they actually bring that like area of the park alive. There was nothing here before, so none of the crowds went into Diagon Alley. They all stayed outside, which is, you know, it's not a big land, but it's enough that you feel the effects of it when it doesn't take people in. So great, really good addition. So next up we've got Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and we've got Goblin Feast down in the same area. So we're going to go and do both of those now. I think it's quite a far walk though. I don't know if I've ever come through this gate before. So they've got Goblins and Bloodlines right next to each other, Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, and they set up this kind of tarmac queue out here. Now the problem is it's not covered at all, and they've got these in 2 sprung tents, as you can see. Goblins on the left, Eternal Bloodlines on the right. At least Goblins has got a kind of like actual facade to it. Bloodlines just has got a picture, which is unfortunate. Alright, quick update from Futurely here. I forgot to record a little thing saying what I thought about Goblins and Monsters. So I did put them on stories on Instagram, let you know what I thought of them based off of that. So I gave Goblins a 7 out of 10. I said that the house was surprisingly big, considering that it's actually in a sprung tent. The sets were huge, and I do remember the sets being absolutely massive considering it's in a sprung tent. They've utilised the space quite well in the middle to like make sure the highest point is right in the middle of the tent. It's very creative, really cool costumes and makeup. I just didn't find it scary, more like cutesy and funny. And then Universal Monsters, I said also 7 out of 10. I do really love the Monsters houses. The cool thing about the Monsters houses is they like have a story of suspense built up as the house goes on. So it starts out like just, you know, it's not too bad, and then boom, by the end of it you're in a big battle between all the monsters, and you've got scare after scare after scare coming at you. So fantastic sets, some really cool scares there, and just overall like a pretty good maze. I gave it a 7 out of 10. So next up we're going to do Museum Deadly Exhibits. This is posted at a 20-minute wait. The queue to it is next to the Simpsons ride, just to the side of it, and you've got the Quickie Mart just there. So it's an interesting location. I don't think they've ever done one here before. So this is really interesting. We're actually going through the queue for the Simpsons ride. And I think they've done this because they've had to move all of the queues because of DreamWorks Land now. So the next house I did was Museum Deadly Exhibits, and it was an interesting house. I don't really think that it fit and flowed very well. Some cool scenes in there, but they just didn't really flow together at all. I did like the smells throughout the house because you had that like decaying, burning smell. A few good scares, but I just don't think it worked very well as a house. The story just wasn't there. A lot of the scare actors were like just straight up humans as well, which isn't necessarily an issue, but it just didn't. I just didn't gel with the house. Yeah, I'd like to go through it again because I had a couple last year that I didn't like first time around, and I did when I went through them again. So we'll see. We'll see. It's not the best so far. So next up is Slaughter Sinema 2. This is a sequel house, as it says, number 2.
I'm sorry.
This is basically B-movies that Universal have created. They've done a whole bunch of trailers, and they're just making up movies. They're going to be like proper B-movies as well, not like anything decent, but they're all a little bit campy horror, basically. That's what this is going to be. So we're going to go and check it out and see what our thoughts are after. Slaughter Sinema 2 was really cool. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. One of the cool things, like separately from the maze, is Universal has actually spent their time filming all of these like mock trailers for the screen outside, and it goes on for about 20 minutes. I actually stood and watched all of them, loved it. It was just really, really cool to like sit and watch the work that they've done, and really just know that they've put love into that. The maze itself is very similar to trailers at Thorpe Park, but like with real built out sets. As Thorpe Park haven't done a good job in like fleshing out the sets on each of the rooms and the trailers that they have, whereas this one you actually felt like they'd really thought about that story and put a lot of detail into the little bits in each of the rooms. They also announced each one as you went into the room as well, which was really pretty cool. And there are a lot of characters in there, a lot of set pieces, some really big ones considering it was in a sprung tent as well. Yeah, just a really good house overall. Like for original houses are great. Universal puts a lot of thought into it.
Story from Team Terror.
So during HHN you also do have a few rides open. Currently open is Revenge of the Mummy, and you've also got Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. I do believe that Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is normally open. It is currently closed at time of recording. Transformers used to be open, but it doesn't seem to be open this year. I'm wondering if they're going to do it where if it's on a really busy night they'll operate it just unannounced, I guess. But unfortunately tonight is not one of those nights. So the final maze that we're going to do is Triplets of Terror. These are all first run throughs and I'll do a wrap up once we've done a couple of each. 20-minute wait currently. So the final maze of the night was Triplets of Terror, and that was quite good. It was quite a good story going throughout. Basically, you had these news reports and podcasts going on about all these murders that these triplets had done, and then you see those murders being recreated. So there are a lot of good scares in there. I'd give the maze overall a 7 out of 10. Some good scares, some really cool sets. For me, the score relates to like emotional attachment. I don't have any emotional attachment to it, but I enjoyed the maze nonetheless. So I would like to get back through that again and see if that score can improve. So we are filming these out of order, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. It's raining now, so the scare zones have unfortunately cleared out quite a bit. The first scare zone we come to is Duality of Fear. Now, this is located in Production Central here. You've got the main marquee, and you have Sinister and Surreal up on that marquee on opening. Around this area, what you'll have is a whole bunch of just like chainsaws and things like that, causing terror in this area, along with a few other interesting characters that'll be chasing you around. Not too much going on, but as we turn right and we go into Hollywood, this is where you have Demon Queens. So the next scare zone we come to here in Hollywood is Demon Queens. We've already got a couple of people out before the scare zone. Some really interesting set pieces out and about. amazing like float here right in the middle of the scare zone. So what I'm assuming is there's a show on here at some point throughout the night. So what I was just being told by the team member there is that when it's raining, like it is now, they can't go and use that float, but typically they'd have the Demon Queens out, they'd be up and down on the floats throughout the night, and then at some points throughout the night you'll have one of the main characters coming in there. You've got two, Sinister and Surreal this year, and they'll come out and jump up and down on the floats and do their thing, which is pretty cool, but Florida be Florida. The next scare zone we've got here is Swamp of the Undead, and this is in Central Park. It's got some pretty cool set pieces here. Crashed boat. And there's a lot of water around as well, so it is actually like a swamp. Let's go back through it one more time. Trying to see if we get any better scares this time. The next scare zone we have is Enter the Blumhouse, and this features characters from the Blumhouse films over the years. And so you can get cool shots like that. Got characters from The Purge. I think this one's from Happy Death Day. come back, we'll see him in just a second. The Snatcher from the Black Phone as well. So really actually quite a cool scare zone. I think that's the best use of the San Francisco area in a very long time, because this area gets congested, but this isn't a big scare zone. It doesn't take up too much space. They had a show here a few years ago which caused all kinds of problems. This seems to be the good balance between them. It's amazing because you've just got like random characters walking around, mingling in the crowds, and you don't know kind of like who's who. Really cool. The final scare zone we've got here in New York is Torture Faire. And this is like a medieval style affair, let's say. Guys in stocks. Get out of here!
Where's the key?
for this moment to arrive. It's been a moment 33 years in the making, I'll have you know. Welcome home. Everyone has a place in the age of sinister. Every little thing just wants to belong, oh? And soon you'll all belong to me. Welcome to your death. It looks good. Not quite as good as it does on me, but you'll soon learn the ropes. And executioner, speaking of those ropes, why don't we see if we tighten these restraints enough, huh? All of my loyal denizens of horror are expertly trained in the craft of what we do. Come, send the witch to her watery grave. It never gets old. I do so love to hear it moaning shriek. Now this is the fear theme song. Is this not what you wanted? I knew it to be so. Executioner, this is a special bunch indeed, and I think that they deserve a special treat, wouldn't you? Let's show them our next display of torture. One of my personal contractions, yes? Designed by myself, by my own hand, forged of unforgiving steel. Let's see how our next victim fares, yes? Come to the torture fair. Here we have something for everyone. Whether your fancy is the eyes plucked from the skull by screeching crows, which is bathed in their honor and glory, or stick around and see. We always have the next up-and-coming tongue-tying ceremony, yes? Do not forget to be a victim of torture in my fair. It's a high honor indeed. Not just anyone can come and step forward. And do be careful while you traverse. You never know where my denizens of horror might be. Don't look now. They might be coming forward to take their moment to strike. Ain't you look? Lesson number one. Never leave yourself open to be hunted. For tonight we are the hunters. Try to quench your bloodlust. Oh, let it ring. And help me ring in the age of sinister! What a loyal bunch you all are. Make me proud tonight. I know that it is. We all do, yes? Come forth. Step into your glory and honor. Choose your last words or pledge your allegiance to me. I love that laugh through the air. I know it well. My loyal king and queen. Could it be time? Is it time for our next ceremony to begin? What say you both? Have you brought a spare moment for us? I love it so! Would you like a display? I thought you might. If you're new to this realm and haven't heard it so, to be a victim of torture is no small price. It is the greatest honor possible. For the torture to be done at your expense by my own hand is a great deed. For I am the greatest instrument of torture ever devised. As you could be after tonight yourself. Let's see where you step. And strike while the iron is hot, yes? Our instrument of torture here tonight. A worthy sacrifice indeed, and right on cue. It's like you were waiting for it all to begin. Come forth. They're cheering you on. My queen, let us bring it in, sir. Some encouragement, please. Well, what's the matter? You'll never bite your tongue again. Thank you, say, aw, queen on your tongue. My new loyal followers, one and all, enjoy this feast, this banquet I prepared. With us at the helm, nothing could go wrong. Welcome home, as I say. You know my name well now. Very good. My king and queen, stay reign over the stage and bask in the glory of your own work. I want to see the work being done down below. Welcome home, all. Welcome to your day.
So the entertainment offering we have here at Halloween Horror Nights is Nightmare Fuel Nocturnal Circus. And this is performed 4 times per night at 8 p.m, 9:30 p.m, 11 p.m, and 12:30 a.m. You do have to get in the holding pen pretty early, about 30 to 40 minutes at least beforehand, because it does fill up. But it's a live action dance show that involves sudden, intense pyrotechnics, flames, sound effects, lasers, and mature themes. So we're going to go to the 9:30 showing now.
It was a dark and stormy All Hallows Eve when this nocturnal circus came to town. The show was a spectacle of thrills and bizarre decadence. And then, she appeared. The most beautiful creature I had ever seen. This was the night when I lost her. Now, I'm cursed to relive this performance over and over again. I've seen her die 100 times in 100 different ways. Tonight's performance will be different. Tonight, I will save her.
So Halloween Horror Nights 2024 is over for me, and it's been a little bit of a washout the past few days. Each night has ended with a lot of rain. Tonight in particular, the third and final night, is particularly bad. There are a lot of people leaving the park at this point just purely because they can't stay dry at all. A lot of the queues are outside, so if you're not prepared to wait in the rain, you ain't doing a lot. It is a tricky situation, but that is what it is. That is September in Florida. It's July, August, and September, really. But I wanted to go and give you a breakdown and give you the rankings and the reasons for our rankings. We've done all 10 houses. I've done them between 2 and 3 times for each house. So starting at the very bottom, we've got the museum Deadly Exhibits. Now, the reason for it being right at the very bottom, I just don't think the house flowed very well. There were a couple of cool rooms, a couple of cool scares, but it just didn't gel, it just didn't vibe with me at all. I think the concept has a lot of potential. Think of it as kind of like a night at the museum-esque kind of thing, but like a spore, a disease has taken over the museum, and it doesn't really work with me. So coming up at number 9, you've got Monstrous, the Monsters of Latin America. Now, the reason I picked that one there, where it is, mainly it's because I got a pretty bad run through the very first time, so that brought the ranking down quite a bit. Not to say it wasn't a good house, but it was a really bad run through that first time. The second and third run through, it did get better, and I did have a lot more scares throughout. The sets were cool, the smells were cool, but it's really just that first run through that brought it down to number 9. Just bear with, I'm flicking back and forward between pages here, so that's why the reflection lights up.
Number 8.
Will probably surprise a few people, but
Number 8.
it's A Quiet Place. The reason for A Quiet Place is I don't think the concept works very well as a house. The quiet, the eerie nature of it, I don't think it works. You've got some cool puppets in there. You've got some really cool sets, but I don't think the way it went together worked very well. Typically, you have music playing that sort of guides you through a house. And with this not having any music, not having any ambience like that, I don't know if it worked for me personally. I have seen it higher up on a number of people's rankings. So they seem to like it. Coming in at number 7 is Goblin's Feast. The reason for this one here is because it's quite a quirky, funny house, in my opinion. I didn't find it too scary, too jumpy, or anything like that. Some of the costumes were really good. And props to it, it's in a sprung tent. So the sprung tent houses are normally a little bit smaller, but they really innovate with the space that they use to really cram in as many rooms and as many scares as possible. I did really like some of the sets. I thought they worked very well. I liked the costumes. There just weren't enough like scares in that maze to really enjoy it for me. So yeah, Goblin's number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Universal Monsters. I'm a little bit sad about this because over the past 3 years, 2 years prior to this, and inclusive of this one. I have absolutely adored the Universal Monsters mazes. I love the lore of Universal Monsters. I think the thing that doesn't work well for me with this is that this is like an original concept. So you have female Universal Monster characters that don't necessarily always exist. So what I did enjoy about the house was the fact that it sort of builds up into a crescendo and a climax throughout. You can feel a sense of danger escalating as you get through the house, and that is very cool. The set design was also really good as well. The next one, number 5, is Slaughter Sinema 2. This is a sequel to Slaughter Sinema that Universal made originally. And the reason for this being at number 5 is a kind of twofold reason. Universal have put a lot of effort into this. As you saw in the video, I didn't show you all of it, but they created approximately 20 minutes worth of B-movie trailers to project on the outside of the house, and that is very, very cool. The effort that they put into that is amazing. They've come up with about 10 different mini stories and mini films that they've put together, and each one is just weird, insane, and quirky. Blood and Chum is like a Jaws ripoff. Mummy Strippers, Zombie Cyborgs, I think it's called, or something like that. And I just think it works really well. It's a little bit like the Trailers Maze at Thorpe Park, but done really well. So yeah, great house. Coming in at number 4 is Major Sweets Candy Factory. And this is a very interesting house. It's based on a scare zone that they had last year or the year before. And that was over in the New York area before. It's a really, really interesting concept of like a torturous candy factory where the people are made into candy, and it works so well. You've got sights, you've got sounds, you've got smells, you've got blood and guts in there, and it is just such a fantastic house. I could go through it over and over again. It is brilliant. Coming in at number 3 is Triplets of Terror. Triplets of Terror is the classic slasher house. There is a lot of blood and guts happening. There's a lot of death happening throughout that. The story is that this murder happened with these triplets killing their family, I believe, back in like 1984. And then 40 years later, they come back on the same day and recreate it, basically. And that is such a cool concept. It was just a lot of fun to go through that house. Number 2 is something that I think a lot of people have at number 1, and that is Insidious, based on the Insidious franchise. Insidious the Further, it's called. The concept of the house is you step into the further beyond the red door, and it's a creepy house, don't get me wrong, right? Lots of people have said that you've had adults like puking, like fainting, passing out, getting petrified, but I didn't find it that scary, but it was one of the scarier ones that I've done. Just a really good, really well done maze, lots of jump scares, lots of interesting costumes, and you've got recognizable characters from the Insidious franchise just popping up throughout that maze, and scaring the bejesus out of you. So it is a very good maze. I think the idea that it scares a lot of people has got out there, and it's put a lot of people off doing it, but I would highly recommend doing it. It's such a good maze. So finally, number 1, the top house. If you know all the houses, you know what it is by now, but that is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
not a great film. It's not a bad film, but not the best film. But a phenomenal maze. Ghostbusters is the funny maze of the year. It's not a scary maze by any stretch of the imagination, but you walk around and you recognise the characters. You recognise the Stay Puffs, you recognise Slimer, you recognise all of the Ghostbusters characters from throughout the film. And I think it works so well as a house. I think to some extent a lot of the ranking for me is tied to like nostalgia and love of the franchise, but it is a good house nonetheless. I think a lot of people, having done Halloween Horror Nights, will be able to interchange Insidious and Ghostbusters, but for two very different reasons. One for set design and just sheer storytelling, the other for scariness and the spooky nature of it. So those are our rankings. Museum at number 10 and Ghostbusters at number 1. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you swap any of them around in a particular order? Let me know. It'll be interesting to see. I think this year is quite a subjective one. But hopefully that has given you a good idea as to what Halloween Horror Nights is like and, well, what we think of the houses, really. If you have enjoyed the video throughout, give thumbs up. I do appreciate it. It really does help us out a lot. And it would be great if you could hit the subscribe button, bell icon, to be notified when we post all new videos. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks.